just
Thank you.
seems to be
Yeah,
nosy.
I don't know where it's at.
See what's going on.
Thanks for coming, Jimmy.
Oh, I'm coming back.
All right, good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We'll go away, man.
I'll be here by
Well-
11.
We'll wait.
All right, all right. We're reconvened to our regular session, so we can do a bid opening. And the number of bids is 0. So unfortunately, we don't have any bids to open, but we have to wait till the time to know that for sure. So the bridge beam on County Road 14, we'll have to go a different course of action or
Yep.
get rebid.
We'll let the engineer know, and he will probably put it back out for bid.
All right, so it is what it is. That still gets us, and we know there's others coming. However, there's one other item, if no one reminds that we backtrack a little bit, old business that I think we could discuss. I don't know if anybody has any questions on it, but just to continue to let information out is about the Seneca County Jobs Fair that Congressman Jordan's office presented as an idea of something they thought would be a way to address concerns of the need for employees to some of our employers in the county, hearing the common thread of some of the commonalities across his district, not just in our county. So from there, Commissioner Zoller and myself, as with Jeff's support, both reached out and said, if we're gonna make this happen here, we certainly would be glad to be part of it. Rich Fote is here from SIDAC, the chamber, various community groups all got involved, and so we've been working on that. Another big planning meeting coming up on Friday to advance that a few more steps further. The date is set, it's May 13th. Any businesses in the county can be part of that. And any job seekers who are seeking employment with any of those businesses certainly are welcome to be part of that. The fine details of exact timeframes, so forth, will be laid out as we move forward. But we are taking registrations and they're coming in for the businesses to sign up to be part of it. It's at Tiffin University in the new Heminger Center on that May 13th, which is a Monday, and it'll be afternoon, but again, tentatively, we're saying 12 to 6. We're gonna fine tune that with the planning meeting on Friday. I've worked with the subcommittee group on student involvement and how we can make this a great learning experience, and it's never too soon to get the youth of the county thinking about their careers down the road, what prepares them for those careers, what paths they take, etc., and knowing what's available here. And so we are gonna work targeting the juniors and actually have a qualifying process for them to earn an opportunity to, in a very set time frame, to participate in the jobs fair. And the planning committee is going to hear all about that on Friday, what we came with up on last Friday. And the seniors are going to be, they're job seekers. If they're graduating seniors and they're in that market looking for a job, they can attend as a job seeker. But we think we've got a nice program outlined that'll make it a very rewarding experience for both the employers and those students that are juniors. They specifically have asked and outlined some questions they would like our businesses to ask those students, the folks from the schools, such as ask them about their attendance record, ask them about their community involvement, ask them those types of things so that they do understand that that is important when it comes to seeking employment. So I don't know what Fred, you want to add anything else to that? And just, I'm filling some time, I'm not going to dance all the way to 11 o'clock, but I think we'll start the discussion here shortly, a little early, because we need to do that. We did not know that we weren't going to have the bids, so.
Well, one of the things is I think our list of exhibitors is going to exceed 20. I think I'm hearing some real good response from the exhibitors out there. That's the potential employers in this area. And I'll tell you something that I guess I never thought of, and it was mentioned at one of the meetings. I think it's a great idea. We're going to have a dress code. If you're going to come and apply for a job, you need to dress appropriately. We're not saying a suit and tie and so forth, but to wear pajama pants was the example they used. You don't dress like that when you go to. This is not only for the adults, but for the students that are coming there. And again, it's kind of the exposure to be around that type of environment and how to conduct yourself in an interview and how to dress and just some fundamental things that so many of us take for granted that apparently is not being utilized out there. I mean, so we're going to have someone at the door, and if you're not addressed appropriately, we're going to ask them to go home and come back after they're dressed properly. I mean, that's something I couldn't fathom, but I guess it's there, and so there's a lot of good that's coming out of this. I keep want to reiterate that it's kind of a threefold process. The first process is, I continue to hear, we've got in excess of 400 jobs available in Seneca County, and that the employers can't fill. So, the first, I'm not gonna necessarily say it's in this priority, but, one of the issues is how do we connect with employers and employees? Two, how do we promote that Seneca County is live and well and growing and doing all the things that a successful, prosperous community is? Well, that's what we're trying to do, and we think that through the Congressman's Association and the PR that he can bring and his advertising and so forth and so on, that can help promote that. And then the third was kind of almost somewhat of an afterthought. Here we are, I call it all dressed up, no place to go. We got the employers there, we got the employees, we got the whole venue, everything's all set up. Why not invite the students in? Or give them the experience to be around employers, how to act, how to just interact with them, and we've broken up into committees. Everyone's got, it's a daunting task in a very short period, and Tiffin University has been very generous and gracious to allow us to use the Heminger Center, which is just a great facility, and it's all just coming together, and it's really come together in a very short period of time. And thanks to Commissioner Stacy and so many. As I said, we broke this up and Rich Fogue for handling the exhibitors and a lot of other things. It's coming together, and I'm proud to be part of the darn thing.
Add a couple comments.
Yes, please.
Right now, we've got in excess of 20 exhibitors, and we have a few more that we're waiting to hear back from. And just to reinforce your points, these are all companies that are in the process of hiring. So that was one of the requirements in order to be an exhibitor. So the reaction that we've gotten from the business community has been really, really good, very strong. The other thing that, to help promote this, Congressman Jordan's going to be here on the 22nd, and we're going to be showing him some of the businesses in the community that are growing. We can't show them all, but we've got a half a dozen companies here in Seneca County, all in close proximity to one another in the two industrial parks.
Will he be making a visit also to Fostoria again,
yes,
too?
And he's going to Fostoria after he visits us. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to be promoting the fact that we've got these companies that are expanding. There's a lot of good things that are going on right now, and I'd like to commend Commissioner Zoller for getting the ball started in all this, and I think it's great. It's a great way for us to promote what's happening, and I think it's going to be a good lead into what we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. There are the jobs, the One Stop, the Department of Jobs and Family Services. Kathy Oliver and Carol Owen out there kind of working on reaching those job seekers, sharing that information, as will the universities working with that. And we capitalizing on ideas from what others have done with their career fairs, jobs fairs, and they're going to present an idea about a VIP type program, so that if we can make sure these job seekers are prepared as they come in, aside from the dress code, but have resumes in hand and are prepared and understand how a job fair works and how to work that, how to network appropriately, and that kind of thing. So that's services they have ongoing. And so we're going to capitalize on promoting services that they're continually providing, and they provide to businesses the list of, if you're looking for employees, you can list those jobs out there. So they're going to continue that, but enhance that by offering a VIP. If they get their resume screened and do a few types of things that they have, then they can earn a status, and we'll work it out. That maybe they'll get in like a half hour earlier, those kinds of things. So pleased to be working with them on that part of this program as well, because they will reach a lot of the job seekers and really help us keep getting that word out to get people to attend.
Rich, I'm a newbie at this whole thing. When's the last time Seneca County, or have they ever offered a jobs fair?
We haven't done that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, this is the first one that I can remember.
I would like it to be an annual. as you travel around and you talk to area businesses, I mean, they all have the same issue. How do we get people to run our plants? And it's not only factory jobs we're talking about. You know, we hope to get the medical profession into it, get the retail sector into this, and I mean, they all have the same common denominator. To say that there's not jobs available in Seneca County is absolutely a fallacy. There's jobs available. These are good paying jobs. Yes, sir.
Well, I've been here for 23 years. I think right now is the largest growth that I've seen in our community in Seneca County in the 23 years that I've been here. I'm just amazed at the number of companies that are expanding. It's truly remarkable. So we've got a great story to tell here. The downside is, you know, we've got to find people to fill those jobs. So it's kind of frustrating when, you know, the jobs are created and we don't have enough people to fill the jobs. So I think that's going to be the challenge. But
well, and Rich, to expand on that, that's why the promotion of this is so key. Is we actually may find that Seneca County can actually bring people in. People that, you know, if we get this out in the Toledo area and the Findlay and so forth, instead of our employees going that way, we may find we're actually trying to bring that people will actually come in, which is good for the home builders and the people with the plumbing and the retailers and all this. It just has a domino effect. I mean, so that's why it's so key that we really hype this up and promote this properly. I mean, I know I'm kind of getting off center here, but you know, as you look at it, you know, the first thing is you know, I continue to hear economic development, and that's certainly one of my pet projects, if you're going to say, the reason I run for this political office. And the first thing you got to do is you can't start with economic development when you got employers that can't find employees, so you got to take care of that first. And then the second one is, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit here, is road infrastructure. And you got to have the roads and all of that, the safety part of it to bring people in and out. And then the third one is, Rich and I have talked many times on that, is additional spec buildings. And, you know, got to have the real estate. You know, Fostoria is in a unique situation. They have a lot of available real estate where Tiffin really doesn't. So the third part of what I would consider part of the mainstream of why I run for politics is that we need to get additional through private investment to get additional real estate put up and buildings put up in Seneca County. But I think this is an unprecedented time right now. And you know, Rich has got the experience of the last 23 years, but I haven't been in this economic development arena that long. But it's exciting times right now, and it's time we capitalize on it.
When you talk about the 400 jobs that are out there, there's certainly a percentage of those, not all of them, but a percentage where you need specialized skills.
Yes.
And to get those people to move in from outlying areas, what type of advertising is actually being done outside of the Seneca County area?
We hope to get, and the mayor's going to be here, we hope to get exposure on the Toledo 11 and 13 news to try to, you know, promote that. I'm not part of the advertising committee.
The website,
Stacy.
the congressman's office, obviously, they're doing those pre-visits to keep the information out there. And then all of the entities involved are going to get things up on our websites, working with the universities as well through their career placement services. They're going to be promoting it. You know, any avenue we can. I don't know if there's going to be any physical money for advertising or not. That's one thing that I'm going to put on the agenda for Friday's planning meeting, because we've got a few expenses that we got to figure out how to cover, and we can't charge for this because of the congressman's involvement. A lot of career fairs, sometimes the businesses participating are charged. So, you know, we're selling on the fact where you're going to get a table and your chairs, and we're going to get the job seekers in there to come to talk to you if you're a business there. But we're not charging for that, but we might have to do something about some sponsorships to cover a few of the expenses we have, and maybe for some more advertising.
To answer your question, that's the key where the congressman's available. And he's coming to here with the 22nd and the 29th. and that is to hype it up so that we get more exposure beyond Seneca County and get the word across. There's 400 jobs right now that are available. And the more that word gets out there in a macro level, the more hope is to bring people in.
Have we identified our needs in the workforce? What, you say there's 400 jobs out there that we don't have the people in this county to fill? What are these jobs?
Well, a lot of them are welders, you know, and things that I know
I mean, do
national.
you have them identified by numbers, companies?
As they're registering, that's something the Congressman's office had to have, is they're telling us the types of, if the number of jobs they're looking at and the types of jobs. Are they entry level, are they highly skilled, what they are that they're in need of? Because that's gonna be important to those job seekers. So as we get that list created of those gonna be there, we're gonna keep that posted on, and everybody attending will get this directory of all those businesses, and that will identify that
And their
information.
needs.
But we're asking them that, what are their needs, what
In
skill sets are they
addition to
looking
that,
for?
is,
Sounds like a lot of them might be technical schools.
yeah, and
Kids
we're gonna
can go
have
to.
Tara, Vanguard, and Owens there, so that as these potential job seekers talk with potential employers, learn the skills that the employer needs, they can literally go over to the next booth and sign up for those classes that will give them that training, you know,
Could be
to
a
do
good thing
that.
for the schools that are there.
Pardon?
Could be a good thing for the schools. that are there.
Absolutely.
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 Help bridge that gap, that's what we need. And we've got people needing work, we've got people who need
I think
workers.
it's important you
What
identify
are they
what
missing?
you need. You know, I mean, I've been hearing it, and I really didn't know. I'm in a whole different industry. I mean, I know what I need, but I don't know what the national needs or Toledo Mold. I have no idea what their needs are.
Well, that's the kind of input that we need, that we're gonna get together, and as I said, these committees that are recruiting these exhibitors or companies to come there, to get that need, to feed it back, so that we can support that in the trade schools and so forth. These are not, you know, what I would consider highly professional jobs. These are probably not gonna be college student educated, but are gonna be on the floor, CNC operators, welders, you know, things of that.
Oh, you can't send
technical
97% of
skills.
kids.
And not, pardon?
School, you can't send 97% of the kids to school and get a bachelor's in business and come home and then figure out you don't have welders.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's happening.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
you know, Bob raises a good point, and there's a lot of discussions going on behind the scenes with the school. And, you know, how do we position kids so that they can take advantage of the opportunities that we have? So there's a number of things that have to happen. You know, parents have to be educated, the kids
Right.
have to be educated.
Exactly.
They have to, you know, what does it mean to be a machinist today? It's different than
welder,
what, or a
welder's a
welder.
good
Yeah.
profession.
Yeah, it's different than it was 20, 30 years ago. So there's a number of things that are in the process of being
If
discussed.
you think your kid's gonna be a better welder than he is a businessman, I would suggest you point him towards the low-end techs and the places like that to be a welder. Because you'll be a lot happier than coming out and being a telemarketer for AT&T.
Well, there are kids now that are going to Sentinel that are still in school, that are working part-time to learn
Great.
how to
That's a
become
great
machine, you know, how to become machinists, working in national machinery, making really good money
You see
and getting the
those kids-
experience.
You see those kids all over our
Yeah.
community.
So there's a lot of good things going on, but we're just scratching the surface.
Got to identify them.
You know, one comment I'd like to make is that when we talk about this need for manufacturing jobs, high-skilled manufacturing jobs, I really believe that there's a trend to bring manufacturing back to the United States. All hinges around cheaper energy. Manufacturing follows cheaper energy. We get a mental condition to say, okay, we're going to want that here in our society. Now, it isn't smart to send everybody to college, because manufacturing is going to need those jobs. And they are good jobs, they're just as good and well-paying jobs
Exactly.
as business jobs and international business jobs.
Sometimes more secure.
More secure.
We
And they're
don't-
local too, they're local too, that's the really nice thing about it.
We don't need
That kind of
factories full of
direction.
PhDs. We need technical positions, it's CNC operators, you know, professional welders. Or professional jobs come in many different angles, many different ways. And that's the purpose of this jobs fair, is to really, to try to focus on that. Mid-level is not the right, but those professional, non-collegiate type environments.
Is there any, working with our, maybe I've missed a lot of discussion with our career center with Sentinel?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Discussion?
Yes.
Sentinel, Vanguard,
Okay.
and Owens will be there.
Well, Sentinel. The discussion we had, the subcommittee is the one I'm on with, how to get the schools involved.
Okay.
And Greg Ettinger is going to limit it to Sentinel students because of the numbers. I think in our first year out on this, because those students are ready, we're gonna have them pre-qualify. And the schools, any of the schools in the county are gonna be able to pre-screen their juniors. If they qualify, bring them in. We're gonna finish communicating to the rest of the schools who don't know this yet. But as we're getting that information out, they have to have the resume, they have to have a letter of recommendation, and then they have to obviously be able to commit to when the school is going to bring them, if they're providing that transportation, that date, and be willing to dress to impress. So with those qualifications, and through Sentinel and Vanguard, but Sentinel Career Center, they have what they call their passports, where they already have all of their certifications indicated in that, if they, what certifications they've earned based on what program they're enrolled in, their resumes and that material. So they're gonna have a lot of students that, if the date's working for them with everything else they got going on in their lives, and being able to attend, I think they're gonna qualify. So we did decide we're gonna keep it to Sentinel, and obviously to all the schools that feed into Sentinel will obviously be reached with their students that are there, and then our other schools in the county. So in answer to Mark's question, that'll be that involvement, and that's key, as mentioned, that these students will see the businesses that are here. So I think at this point, we're going to go ahead and segue right in from getting our job seekers traveling down 53, up 53 across 224, down US 23, or any other transportation method they use to get to Tiffin University on May 13th for the job fair. And specifically talk about an idea that was presented at our regular session meeting last Tuesday by Commissioner Zoller about a vehicle registration permissive tax by the county. And since that idea came up, there's been lots of discussion. Obviously, some of you have been parts of discussions in other places. And I know for myself, I started the education process of learning, what does this permissive tax entail, what's involved, how can it not work, etc. I think we probably ought to send the sign-in sheet around. Is that what that is?
This is for the bid opening.
That's for the bid
Yeah.
opening. Do we have a regular sign-in sheet, or do we need one? All right, when you stand, just because we are live on camera up here.
It's being recorded.
And being recorded. And for those who weren't able to be here at our opening of a regular session at 10 o'clock, Commissioner Wagner had a medical appointment that absolutely he could not avoid, and that he was scheduled for out of his control, and he had to leave shortly after the opening of that meeting, and is sorry that he was not able to be here for this, but he had no choice on that. He will listen diligently to this tape and hear all of the comments, etc. But please, when you want to make a comment, if you'll state your name, and if you're representing any particular organization, group, company, that would be very beneficial for the recording. Again, it doesn't see everybody, so we won't be able to make it by a voice recognition with the picture necessarily unless you come forward. So we will begin that. And
Holly, if I could first start by making a comment of trying to define to the citizens of Seneca County why I've done this and how it's brought to this point and how it's come to this point, and to try to maybe make some explanations to the thing, to this process that I'm proposing. Basically, what it amounts to is you know, I got involved in politics for one reason, for economic development. How can we promote Seneca County? And I believe the time is right. I see it for my personal business that the economy is improving. Things that were done offshore are starting to come back onshore. They call it onshoring, or whatever that terminology is. The opportunity is here for Seneca County to really do things that it has not done for years. The first thing, as I mentioned a few moments ago, is we got to connect these job seekers and these manufacturers or the employers out there with jobs, and that's why the jobs fair come along. The next thing is, we've got to do this thing, but we got to improve safety and there's going to be some people in the crowd that are going to talk about safety of 53. It's a major issue, and the opportunity for us to expand the transportation system within Seneca County. I don't know what the odds are of us getting any of the CASIC money of the 1.5 million that's coming from the turnpike, but I do know that we have been less than successful of obtaining money from ODOT, and in all the different committees and meetings that I've been in, the common denominator is to them is when we go down to ODOT, if we got a little money in our pocket, we have a better opportunity to get some funds. The ODOT uses a system what they call tracking. And tracking is that they take a look at a project, the first thing they look at, population. We fail there. The next thing they do, they look at what kind of traffic there is on this road structure. And that's a debatable issue, because then you get to the point, well, if we made road improvements, we would have more traffic. So again, that's debatable. The third thing they look for is what portion of this can you share into? Well, we don't have population, we can't change that. Traffic is, again, an iffy thing. If we had the improvements, we'd have more traffic. Third is we haven't had any money in our pocket. So the process is that I'm proposing, if we can initiate this user fee tax for license, that we would implement that for a period not to exceed 5 years. And what I'm told is that would generate roughly $300,000 a year that would be earmarked strictly for road improvements and infrastructure that was directly related to economic development. One of the questions that comes back is, well, what happens in 5 years if we can? There is no guarantees if we have this money that we can get it. But one thing that is proven, I've had some research done, and the last major highway project we've had in Seneca County was in 1954. They call that the Route 224 bypass. That's pretty pathetic. And the reason is we don't fare well on these track projects. We don't have the population, we don't have enough traffic, and we have no money. So by this process, if over the next 5 years, the advantage is we can go at, if this is approved, and it has to be unanimously approved by the commissioners. We don't have to bring it out to a vote to the people, but all 3 commissioners have to approve it. If we enact it tomorrow, we can go down to ODOT and say, we don't have the money, but we can commit this for the next 5 years, and we can commit up to 1.5 million to help us do some infrastructure projects. There's a major safety issue on 53 South. We have established in the Regional Planning Commission and the Highway Transportation Committee that I chair, is that is our #1 priority, which is 53 South, to improve the safety of that, and then also to expand what we call the access road, which will help economic development. I mean, the big picture and kind of the dreaming part of the picture is with this CASIC money, if we could get a Super 2, and Mark Zimmer, Engineer Zimmerman, I'd like if you could explain to the people in Seneca County what a Super 2 really is. Because there's a lot of concern, a lot of questions is, what is a Super 2?
Just on that issue, I guess, let me just come up here. A Super 2 is a glorified 2-lane highway. 2-lane highway for most of the stretch of a highway system with wider shoulders, wider berms for safety. So instead of having a 2-foot paved shoulder, maybe a 4-foot paved shoulder, 8 to 10 foot of run off the road shoulder, which is not paved, but it's grass that allows people to have recovery area. So a wider, safer corridor, and then at most intersections, turn lanes, queuing lanes, enough room to stack people so that traffic does not have to stop. And the main point of a Super 2 is to maintain the flow of traffic. So if we have on 53 South, for instance, at County Road 6, County Road 14, at 90, where there's a lot of traffic movement, where people are having turn movements that people either have to stop, slow down, wait, and that affects the flow of traffic. And anytime you affect the flow of traffic, you affect safety, and when you affect safety, you affect whether or not people want to move their equipment, move their machinery, move their trucks, move themselves, their bodies, their friends, their families down that highway system. So it's a manner by which we can have the great effects of a 4-lane highway without having the huge costs and burden of maintaining a 4-lane highway. We generally look at traffic counts, and once they exceed 5 to 10,000 vehicles per day, and I don't know what the actual number is, but that's where we really look at going from a strict 2-lane highway to a super 2 highway. And then as it advances, as more traffic goes down the highway system, you get into the 4-lane, just because you want to make sure that you have enough room distance between vehicles, so that if a catastrophic event happens, a tire blows out, somebody slams on their brakes, a deer flies out in front of you, that you don't have somebody right behind you. That generally when you are traveling on a 4-lane highway, if you are behind somebody, one of the two of you staggers lanes. You do it naturally, probably without even thinking about it, but you do it out of self-preservation, out of a concern for safety for yourself and your vehicle. So that is what a Super 2 is. The interest is to do so from what our discussions are, from basically US 23 to the Turnpike, and then also working with Fostoria. Specifically, Fostoria, one of our large manufacturing sectors as well, working with State Route 12 from Fostoria to 53, which is another direct link to the Turnpike. So really looking at combining both of our two cities in this process and in this system. So that's what we're looking at. And then I do have information on, I don't know if you want me to talk about the process by which vehicle registrations exist, why they exist, where they go, how that money's distributed.
Yeah, I would, could you just for one side,
Yeah, whenever.
We've had discussions on a 4-laner. But from what I understand is whenever you go to ODOT and you talk to about a 4-laner, is whenever there's going to be imminent domain or legal issues, ODOT just stays away from that like the plague. So I think that is just out of the realm of what is foreseeable, and I think a more realistic goal. It's not a guarantee. That's what everyone has got to understand. If we enact this, if this $5 license fee is approved by the 3 commissioners, it's not a guarantee. But what it does do, it gives us money in our pocket when we go down there to ODOT and we talk about the improvements we need to make that our engineer is suggesting from a safety standpoint and from a transportation infrastructure standpoint. If you got a little jingle in your pocket, you get their attention more. Now, I'll shut up from there. Mark, would you care to elaborate on how the process, how the license fee, and then I'd like to open it up for public discussion there.
Yeah, and if people have questions, I just downloaded some information regarding the registration process. First off, where do your registration fees go? When you go to the License Bureau and pay your license fees, why do you do that? Where do they go? Where does that money go? How's it distributed? So first off, just maybe an overview on what existing license fees. The existing license fees, generally across the state of Ohio, $20 flat fee, without any of the permissives that cities, municipalities, townships, counties can put on. Of that $20, the way that it is distributed is that 81% of that money, 81% of that $20 goes to the county, by which 34% of it, or out of that $20, $6.80 is distributed to the cities or the villages, depending upon the area that you're in. So they get $6.80 of that. $9.40 of it comes to the county, comes to my department, the M&R funds for maintenance of our highway system. So that's 81% of that $20. 14% of it is distributed to counties and townships based upon the total amount of road mileage that you maintain. As an example, Seneca County, we maintain 397 miles of highway. We have a lot of highway, county roads in Seneca County. 9% of that money, or $1.80, goes to the county, goes into our funds based on that. portion of road mileage, 5% or $1, goes and is split evenly amongst the townships based on their road mileage. And then 5% of it, or $1, is sent to the state of all registration fees across the state of Ohio, and it is split up evenly among all 88 counties. So, for instance, Franklin County, which has significantly more license registrations, a portion of their license registrations comes to Seneca County, Wyandotte County, Sandusky County, Hancock, Ashtabula, wherever it may be. But that is 1%, or I'm sorry, 5% or $1 of that $20 goes to the state. They add all of it up and divide it by 88, and that's what each county gets. So that's where our existing 20. That's where that's existing. That's state law. That is what funds our highway system. That is what patches our roads. That's what paves our roads. That's what buys the salt in the winter. That's what mows the grass along the ditches in the summer. That is what our operating expenses are. That and gas tax, but we're not even dealing with that issue right now. And for Seneca County, it's about 50-50 split. Most counties, most large counties rely on this license registration fee significantly. We rely on gas tax significantly because we do not have a lot of licensed vehicles. We don't have a lot of licensed registration. And as a result, that 47% that comes to the county and the 9% that based on road mileage, that 56% of the total amount of money that's collected for license fees in Cuyahoga County, Hamilton County, Butler County, those larger counties, generates tens of millions of dollars. It generates just about $1.6 million in Seneca County when it's all added up.
Mark, could you elaborate on just the permissive tax?
Yeah, that's next. So, in addition to the $20 registration fee that the state of Ohio put on years ago, and 3 different times actually, the legislature has identified the fact that counties, villages, cities need additional revenues in order to do projects, in order to fund their departments, in order to build a better highway system. And they put those on as what they call permissive taxes. They are not taxes that are set by the state. They are set county by county, city by city, village by village, township by township. So that if you have a township that has some needs and has some wants and desires, that township has the ability to put on their own license registration fee for use for highway improvements. The townships have that ability. Villages have that ability. Cities have that ability, and the county as a whole has that ability. So there are a lot of different mechanisms by which those permissive taxes can be done. Specifically for the county, there are 3. There are 3 $5 fees. There's one $5 fee that you can enact. Then there's another $5 fee that you can enact. And then there's another $5 fee that you can enact. So a total of $15 is what's available. You have to pass the first one, which is section 5404.02 of the revised code, before you can go to the next one. You have to pass that one before you can go to the next one. Or you can do all of them at once, but you can't bypass. And the reason that you can't bypass is, for instance, cities, villages, and the county are intricately related in their ability to tax, and their ability to tax for registration fees. Townships are on their own. Townships have their own set of rules, their own registration, so no matter what the county does, no matter what a city or village does, the township stands alone with their taxing authority, their ability to stand by themselves regardless of what anybody else is doing. The county, city, and municipalities do not share that. They do not have that same ability. So as an example, there are sections of code that work hand in hand. And the first one, for instance, and I'm just going to do the last two, it's section, it's the .02 of Ohio Revised Code 4504. It says that the county can enact this $5 fee, this $5 tax for license fees. 100% of it goes to the county. However, if a city or a village has already collected or already passed legislation under their section of code, which is 4504.06, then the county's not allowed to collect from them, which means they're out. So of the total number of registrations that are in Seneca County, if a village has already said, we're taking this $5, then the county can't also get that $5. So far in Seneca County, the village of Attica, the village of Bloomville, the village of Green Springs, and the city of Tiffin have enacted their right to take that $5. And they have that $5 registration fee. So, for instance, in the city of Tiffin, the city of well, we'll do Fostoria later. So the city of Tiffin already collects that $5 from everybody. For their highway improvements, that money is already in the coffers for the city of Tiffin to use specifically for municipal projects. In addition, Attica, Bloomville, and Green Springs have done the same. Any village can do that. Any city can do that. City of Fostoria has not done that with this section of code. And what that means is I actually worked for the last 2 days with the State Auditor's Office and the Department of Public Safety to find out how many dollars we're actually talking about. We've had a lot of numbers thrown around. You know, we're looking maybe around $300,000. We don't know where that $300,000 necessarily came from. If you add up all the registrations and multiply them by $5, you get $300,000. But the city of Tiffin, for instance, has already taken that $5. The village of Bloomville has already taken that $5. So under section 4504.02, and these numbers are all based on 2012 registrations. So assuming that we have just about the same vehicles registered this year as we do last year, which should be pretty close, the amount of money that we are looking at collecting, and there's a lot of breakdowns, but totally is $198,000, just under $200,000. And that takes away from the $300,000 that had been talked about because of the municipalities that have already enacted that $5. So that's that first tax, that first fee that the county would have to do and would have to enact. Then there is a second, the second $5 one, and that second $5 one is section 4504.15.
And Mark, can I?
Yes.
In learning this information yesterday, and I literally, before walking in for our 10 o'clock session, got the list printed out of which municipalities were doing which code,
Okay,
which
yep.
levy. They said that you could do .15 even if you didn't have .02 in place. But
That's
it does
correct.
have its own restrictions.
That is correct.
It's not 100% to the county.
Right.
But you,
Yeah.
okay.
And
I
that's
just want
the
to make
next
sure
code.
that you did not
That's
have
only,
to have
right,
.02
that's
in
only
place.
under that first $5.
Yes.
And each of these $5, each of these three pieces are totally separate from each other. So we go to the next $5 to say the county decided they wanted to do a $10 license. And I'm just throwing all this out, I'm not saying promote it, I'm just saying, if the county were to decide to do the $10, how much money would that generate for Seneca County? Well, things change a little bit, especially because instead of 100% of the revenue for this section going to the county, or going to the M&R funds for distribution, 50% goes to the municipality. So 50% would go to the city of Tiffin, and 50% would go to Seneca County for everybody that lives in the cities. Okay, everybody lives in the village, 50% would go to that village, 50% would come to the county. Whoever lives in Fostoria, 50% goes to Fostoria, 50% goes to Seneca County. Tiffin, 50% to Tiffin, 50%. And then in the rural areas in our townships, 30% of that money goes to the townships and 70% of it comes to the county. So instead of the county getting 100% of that $5 is greatly reduced in what comes to the county in its distribution to other places. Now, under that section of code, and once again, cities, villages have the ability to say, we want that $5. We want to enact that $5. The city of Fostoria has already enacted that $5, which means the city of Fostoria would not be able to collect that $5 fee from people that have registered vehicles living within the city of Fostoria. Okay, does this make sense? Fairly?
And Bettsville
Mm-hmm.
is the list I got. Had both of them on there.
For 15? Yeah, I've got Bettsville and Fostoria have done
Yeah.
16,
Yeah.
but not 15. Only Fostoria has done 50. Maybe they have. According to the State Auditor's Office in Public Safety, only Fostoria
They've done
did.
17, which is theirs, which it says that,
Right.
however, they cannot collect because they have 17 in place.
Exactly.
.17. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just going over our codes, which are the 02, the 15, and the 16. And then, like I said, there's a matching one for the cities and municipalities. If they do 17, we can't do 15. If we do 15, they can't do 17. Okay? So, and maybe Betsville has done that extra one as well in 15. And then there's another one that is the third one then is, say we collect $15. We want that whole $15, total amount that's available. If villages or cities have collected under 4504.171, which is a subsection of their 17, which Fostoria and Betsville both collect under, then for municipal registrations, 100% goes to the county. So that's the one that cities really wanted to get, because 100% of that money, wouldn't come back to them. And then for township registrations, 30% goes to the township, 70% comes to the county. So currently, the village of Betsville and the city of Fostoria collect under their section, which means we would not be able to collect that $5 from Fostoria or from Betsville. All in all said, if the county were to do $5, we would be looking at generating just under $200,000. If they enacted the two $5, so the first 5 and the second, the $10, then we would be looking right at $350,000. And the reason that number goes down a lot, don't forget, is because that money is distributed differently then. That money goes to cities and it goes to villages and it goes to townships. And if the county were to collect all three $15 ones, all three the ability to do, then it would generate $586,000, just round figures, around $600,000 for that $15 license fee. So that is where our fees come from. Those are the permissive taxes that are available. Just to give you some numbers as far as county, they're called county levies is what they are. With the 88 counties that are in the state of Ohio, that first section, that first $5, there are 47 counties, 53% of them, that have enacted that. Then for the second $5 of the 88 counties, 40 have. And then for the maximum amount, the full $15, 33 counties have enacted that out of the 88 in the state of Ohio. For municipalities, they're taxing, it has a similar distribution. There are a lot of ways here. We're really only talking about the county's taxing authority right now, so I don't know that we need to go through all of those numbers. But then as well, as far as townships go and the unincorporated areas and their ability to tax, there are 1,308 townships that have the option to levy. Some don't have the option to levy. If they're incorporated, for instance, and they go under the incorporated, you can be in a township but be incorporated, then you go under the municipal sections. 344 townships out of that 1,300, or 26%, have enacted their ability to collect. So there are a lot of ways that the money is distributed. It all comes down to whether or not the commissioners, of course, are the ones that decide, in and of themselves, whether or not that money will be collected. So the money, all monies that are collected for license fees for the county are for highway purposes. And according to state law, all monies that come for highway purposes go into the maintenance and repair funds. So one assurance is that the money will not and cannot be used for anything other than highway improvements. The money cannot be used for fixing up the buildings downtown. It can't be used to pay parking lots. It cannot be used to supplement budgets for the recorder's office, or for the auditor's office, or for the tax map office. I'll throw my own in there just to. So the money has to be used for highway purposes.
Mark, if I may ask, can it be earmarked strictly for a specific? It's things that are highway improvements that is directly related to economic development and safety.
Not by legislation. You can put on a fee. You can put on this tax. And as I said, I'm here just to give you the information, do with it as you will. That the money comes to the M&R fund for highway improvements, which means it comes under the jurisdiction of my department and my office. So that means that if I agree, which I'm standing before you, if I agree that this money, that this additional revenue will be used and should be used for matching projects as we get them and to be used as a tool for economic development. As far as highway purposes go, I can't hire staff, for instance. I mean, more staff. I, of course, hire staff. I can't hire people to go do more projects just because of this, but if that's the will of the engineer, that this is the money that, and that direction would of course come from the commissioners, it'd come from the public, I work for you, that is what the money would be used for. And we could set up a line in the M&R fund that could house this money. But legislatively, it can't be earmarked to say, it's already earmarked. It's earmarked for highway improvements. Now, does that mean that, 10 years from now, and also you can't, well, maybe you can. You guys agree to take it off, I guess. But once you put a fee on, it's on. You can't put it on.
You can't set it on for a set period of time, 5 years?
Not my understanding. In 5 years, you can take it off.
Okay.
But it's not a time, nothing that I have seen.
And that's, I haven't been able to find that part.
Nothing I have
And everything
seen
I've
says that
been
you
thinking
can
to
do
find.
this for a period of time. You put it on, it's on. It's there, it exists.
And the other thing is,
Until you decide to take it off.
and as you indicated, they'd come your way. They have to be for the highway improvements. And the ORC requires under 4504.04, if we put a levy in place, that we have to have a detailed required plan working with you.
Right.
That is filed in order before this tax can begin to be collected.
Yeah,
And that
that-
kind of thing. So how much detail you put into that plan.
That's correct.
And some of those things have to all be worked out as well. And so
Right.
that's,
Yeah, it's a process, and I think those assurances were put in the law, in my opinion anyhow, to make sure that if the commissioners go out on this limb, and they go out that everyone understands that commissioners don't last forever, engineers don't last forever, that if this money is put out there, that it will never be used for purposes other than highway improvement projects. That is what it is for. Most people don't mind seeing things being built. The bricks and the mortar, the things that you can actually substantially have. We collect this fee, we start building highway improvements. We build turn lanes, we build safety improvements. Things that people can see, oh, that's where my dollars go. This is where my registration fees are going. This is what I can see happening and physically being built out on the highway system. Rather than a lot of the fees that we pay as taxpayers that we wonder, where'd that go? Where did this go? Where did this go? Where did this go? And so instead of wondering where this money went, you can see where this money went. The money went directly onto the highway system. Building projects, building improvements, doing safety studies, doing the ecological and environmental studies that are required to do for these projects. These projects don't stand alone. They're ecological surveys and they're environmental surveys. The Corps has to be happy. The EPA has to be happy. The Department of Natural Resources has to be happy. So these are all things that I guess we call them bricks and mortar. You see things being built. And that's what this money would be for.
Well,
All right.
I think some of the things that need to be, the public needs to be aware, and certainly us as commissioners, is one, Seneca County has no tax at present that's put on, permissive tax that's on.
That is correct.
We have none. Two is that roughly 50% of the other counties within the state have a permissive tax. I think those are some pretty important, compelling thoughts there. and we would use this for highway improvements, it could not go back to general funds.
That's
It
correct.
could be used, as far as coming off in 5 years like I recommended, that's something that the next group of commissioners would have to decide. But if we cannot be legislated in, to enact for 5 years, so that there would have to be some faith.
Yeah, not that I know of.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm certainly not a specialist in the revised code, but I found nowhere that says
I
that,
didn't either.
this
Not
fee
yet.
could be enacted for a period of time. It's, you put it on, it's there, it exists.
Let me ask you, and I would never advocate to go to steps 2 or 3. If it's 200,000 or 300,000, to me, that's almost immaterial. But Mark, I'd like to hear your thoughts when you go down to the state and you look at the tracking program. How important is it that you have some contribution you can make to ODOT to get projects done?
Yeah, most money that goes through the state of Ohio, whether it comes through the federal channels, whether it comes through the state channels, through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, which all the federal money is funneled through ODOT as well. They like you to have a little skin in the game. Actually, they require you to have a little skin in the game. They want to know that although there are some programs and projects that are funded at 100%, very few of them, but signs, for instance, you can get a small sign grant from the feds up to $20,000. It's 100%. Very small numbers when you talk about the cost of maintaining infrastructure. That they want to know that if you are going to be getting this pot of money, this money from the state of Ohio, from the feds, that you are committed. That you are committed to doing the project, you're committed to want the project, you're committed to maintaining the project, and the best way to do that is to make you pay some portion of the project. What that portion is, it can range anything from 80% state or federal, 20% local, to 90% federal, state, and 10% local. Along with that, those costs, those fees, that 90% that comes from the feds or 80% that comes from the state, only are for the project. They do not include the acquisition of right-of-way. Zero help for right-of-way. And not only for the cost of the land that you may have to buy, but also the negotiation process, which generally costs 2 to 3 times more than buying the land, because it has to be bought through the federal process. You have to be buying the land just like you're going through eminent domain, even though you're not going through eminent domain. So, for a 0.001 acre sliver of ground, you'll pay that person around $300 because that's the fair market value of it. It could cost you $8,000 to $12,000 to administer that $300. That's how much it costs to manage the system. That's real, that exists. The environmental reports, the Corps of Engineer permits, the EPA permits, none of that is covered with federal funds, which means that you have to be willing to have pay for plan development, you have to be willing to pay for all the environmental concerns, and environmental reports. You have to be able to pay for the right-of-way that would need to be acquired. And without having that ability, without having those dollars and those funds in place, that you can go with, and they say, okay, you want to build a Super 2. And we'll get to that point in a moment, but you're going to require purchasing right-of-way. Well, how are you going to purchase that right-of-way? Well, I don't know, we don't have any money. Well, and you're done. Zero. You're gone. You're right now. You're done. First question out the door is how are you going to get the right of way to do what you need to do on the project? If you don't have any money to do that, because you're required to pay for that 100%, you're done. It goes away. And the way this money, this $1.5 billion for the turnpike, the bonding authority that the governor has signed, that the legislature has passed, that $1.5 billion of turnpike revenue that they're going to bond, and then they're going to pay back those bonds with revenues from the turnpike. And the governor has said, and the legislation has said, that 90% of that money, 90% of that $1.5 billion has to be spent from 30, state, US 30? I don't know, US 30? Yeah. From US 30 north to the turnpike to get people, and its purpose is to get people to the turnpike. This is turnpike revenue. They want to improve safety and improve flow of traffic to and from the turnpike. Well, we just happen to have in Seneca County this project. And it's not a county project, it's State Route 53 and State Route 12, connecting Tiffin to the turnpike directly in Fremont, and connecting Fostoria to 53, which connects to the turnpike. And we have this ability to now work with the state of Ohio to try to convince them to say, okay, we want you to improve State Route 53 into this Super 2. And it's a state highway. The state of Ohio will decide what they do with it. We can ask for a 4-lane, we can ask for a Super 2, we can ask for anything. It's not our road. They will decide what to do. But in the process of deciding what to do, the state of Ohio, especially District 2, is not going to come to us and say, okay, it's a great project, it meets all the criteria for TRAC, which is the Transportation Review Advisory Council. That is the group of people, it's an independent group of people that will decide where this $1.5 billion goes. Group of people appointed by the governor from different segments of society in the state of Ohio. They'll review all of these applications that are coming in, and they'll look at them and say, okay, who has some money to help? Who has the biggest need? Do you fit the criteria by which this money is to be spent? Well, right now, we fit most of the criteria, except for the ability for us to have any matching funds. For us to have the ability to say, we've got skin in the game. We are real in what we want to do, in our approach, how we want to do it, and we're willing to prove that by putting some capital, putting some cash on the table for all these requirements that we have, especially purchasing the right-of-way, plan development, environmental, all these things, and that matching money as well. So when we go to the state, which we will have to go to District 2, we'll have to go to Bowling Green or ask them to come here, we'll probably end up going there, and we will plead our case with them to get on board with our project. And first thing they're going to say is, well, you have to go through the TRAC process. The TRAC is the acronym that defines that. And are we going to meet the criteria to have a project approved by TRAC? Because nobody wants to send a project through the process, go through all the time, effort, planning, to fill out the application work, which is not just a piece of paper. It's a process by which you do this, without knowing that you've got a good chance to do it. If we have no money, no skin to put in this game, there's no point in us even putting an application in. And as a result, that leveraged $1.5 billion that is to be spent north of I-30 or US 30, we have almost zero chance in Seneca County of recovering any of those funds. Even though we qualify on so many levels for once in what we want to do in our approach to improve transportation and improve safety in Seneca County, that we have the ability, if we have some skin in the game to do this. I can almost guarantee you, and I won't even work on there's no point in wasting time working on the application if we don't have some money to do it. It's not a new process. There are not a lot of hidden things out there. Say, oh, maybe we can slip something in over here, or we can look at getting this project over here, or, if we don't have any money, maybe we can supplement with it. There's not. That's all. If you don't have it, you don't have it. You're not in. You're either in or you're out.
And there's no guarantees.
There are, of course, no guarantees. It's a competitive process. But it's a real project. It's a need. We have identified this need. It's a need that Tom and Rich have been working on for 20 years, 15 at least, that I've been involved. At least 15 years. It's not new for the desire to have some improvements done on our highway system. And it is also not new that we have had no ability from the state of Ohio to come and help us do that, because we've had no ability to generate revenues. They haven't had money. A lot of the money for District 2 honestly goes to Toledo. That's where it goes. It goes to Toledo. And we've got a nice fancy bridge that drops ice on everybody when in the winter, and it costs us a lot of money. And you paid for it, so did I. It costs that signature bridge. That's where District 2's money goes. It goes to Toledo. So we have one shot over the next several years. And I don't know what the time frame of the selling of these bonds, of doing the project. I would anticipate that we would be looking at the 3 to 5 years to have to be ready for plan completion, which takes 3 years, to get a set of plan, and that's fast tracking things. To build a highway, it takes 12 to 15 years. If you're improving a highway, you might be able to have things ready in 3 to 5 years. But that's what they're going to want to see. People that are paying these bonds back, people that are traveling the turnpike, people that are hearing in the news of what's going on, they want to see things getting done. They don't want to see that you're planning for 10 more years and everyone's collecting this money and we're paying back the bonds, but no projects are being done. So the state wants it moved.
Mark,
I'll talk.
I understand, we appreciate your comments.
I'm a talker.
Yeah.
So
Let's move, thank you,
Yeah.
and please stay if you can,
I'll
in case
stay.
there's questions. But we do want to move to give everybody else an opportunity, and as I stated earlier, if you'll please state your name nice and loud again, and the recorder will pick up, so we get that on our recording, so we get your comments. And I'll send this around so you can see it. This explains the other municipalities that already have a $5 in place, just because, again, separate from what we do. Under the municipality part, there is an impact based on what levy they have in place and what happens with ours, if there was one in place. The townships does not, but I thought you might want to see if you aren't familiar with that.
Make copies?
Yeah, they can just send it around. If you want a copy later, we'll get you one. It's available on BMV's website.
I believe this is
So if
the
you'd like-
time that as commissioners, we have to set politics aside and we have to do with what we think is right for the community. And what's going to help push this through is community support. And that's where it's so important for you guys to be here today, express your support so that we commissioners can look at the project and hopefully we can get behind it.
Comments, please.
I'll go first.
And before Rich gets started here, I don't know if exactly I'm going to time it, but if we give each 3 minutes, we'll only be here a little over an hour. So if you'll keep your comments to 3 minutes, I'm not sure if you're all going to speak, but if you were all going to speak. So just keep that in mind as you come forward.
We have it on the board here, with Rich, we just start out with fatal traffic crashes so that everybody can view it.
I'll be brief. There's, Mark made some excellent points. I think that there are several things I just want to briefly comment on. And the first one has to do with the number one issue of the highways in Seneca County has to do with safety. We're among the highest per mile accident rate, have the highest per mile accident rate of the top 5 counties in the state of Ohio. And we're the highest of any rural county in the state of Ohio. So the number one factor is that the highways are unsafe. Second issue is that Seneca County is a donor county. And if you don't believe that, we send more money down to Columbus than we get back in return. And if you don't believe that, look at the highway situation we currently have. I think that speaks for itself. The third issue is that we've lost population. And a lot of our discussions, and we were talking earlier about how do we get people to move back here. There's a lot of jobs that are opening up. How do we get our young people to stay here? Well, highways have a direct impact on economic development. And to go back to reinforce the safety issue, in the last 3 years there have been 12 fatal crashes in Seneca County. Now you look at that number and you say, well, 12 is not very good, but in 2011 there were 21 people who died. And there were over 215 people who were seriously injured in accidents in Seneca County. So, I mean, you look at there were three fatals in 2011, resulting in 21 deaths and 215 people seriously injured. So it helps to underscore the fact that we have a safety problem here. The other thing is that I think that we were talking earlier about the job growth that's occurring here. And I think it's happened because we've invested in ourselves. And we have a lot of smart business people here, but I think that as a community, as a county, we've invested in infrastructure, we've done the things that we needed to do that we had some control over. The one thing that we do not have any control over is the highways and what money gets invested in the highways. It's very limited. Our county engineer does a tremendous job of bringing in money from the feds and the state. But as good as he is, he can't take care of the problem that we have. He can't get enough money here because it's impossible. So we have to partner with the state. And the one thing that you said, Fred, about it's not a certainty, there's one thing for certain. If we do not come up with a way to fund our portion of any highway improvements, nothing will change. The highways will be unsafe. It'll be an economic development handicap for us.
We got 59 years of experience of that.
And we have experience doing that. There's also on the last sheet, there's a map of Ohio, and this is the unemployment rate in all 88 counties in Seneca County, or excuse me, in Ohio.
Nikki's trying to put that up right now. That was
Okay.
on the.
And the blue line represents the interstate highway system in Ohio. The white areas are the areas that have the lowest unemployment in Ohio. It directly corresponds to where the highways are. That's the importance of highways. It's the importance of our ability to be able to connect to these highways. So I want to thank the commissioners for tackling this issue. I think it's important. Without a doubt, I think it's one of the most important things that we can do to move ourselves ahead. Again, when you look at every time we've taken a chance on ourselves and reinvested in ourselves, good things have happened, and we're starting to see that. This is the last thing we need to push us over the top. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Rich,
you, Rich.
you've been here 23 years. Do you know if the county ever looked at doing a permissive, this type of a levy before?
It's been discussed, but no.
Okay.
It's been discussed, but no one,
I,
we just couldn't
okay.
get the final.
Nobody
I
was
was gonna
stupid
say,
enough
'cause
to go
the-
ahead and
The match part has always been a part of ODOT's, system, is
Right.
that there's some local monies and what you bring to the table, that has existed in ODOT for a long, long time. So I just wondered, okay, thank you. Anybody who else would like to speak? Mr. Klaus? No?
My name is Joe Parker. I'm from Cutchinsville, and unfortunately, about 14 years ago, I lost my brother on that road. And I think if the ditches would have been filled in at that point, he'd be here today. I can't say for sure, but it's a sad situation. Something you don't get over. And we've been to the state many times. Our family has to try to get something done. And about a year or so ago, Jeff Wagner did do a really nice job, got ODOT to come down. And I don't know if any of you have been down 53, they have at least started to fill the ditches in a little bit. It's a start. It is not something that's, I think they're just going at a snail's pace, but they're doing something. And if we could get some money to finish of what's started, would be ideal. And I know just because we live there, we understand it a little bit more, and maybe people don't go there very much, or other areas don't. But we can only speak about what we see goes on 53, and you take a farm machinery down it, it's a nightmare. I mean, it scares you to death. And we just would like to see improvements keep going. I don't want to see it stop, but they've started. They're working today out there, and we would like to see it get better. And we know it can be better, and I think it's something that the city, it'll help, because you'll get more traffic coming to Tiffin. I think it's going to help with employment and everything. So I just, just speaking, for our family, and we just would like to see something keep going and help everything that's going on.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, thank
If
you.
we would have looked at this maybe 15 years ago, maybe we wouldn't, you wouldn't have to ask you to come speak to us today. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Tom. Okay.
I'm Tom Hay, I'm Executive Vice President of National Machinery, and more importantly, a citizen of this county for over 30 years now. I really very, very concerned about our county and the roads from a safety standpoint. To me, We've done a lot of good work in the last 5 to 10 years. Mark alluded to that a few minutes ago. Rich, a number of dedicated people in our community have done a lot of hard work to try to get us foundation so we can make road improvements. For the long term, I think all of us that are bringing up our families and whatever in this community would like to see them stay. And if we want to see them stay, we've got to have something for them to do. And there's several things that happen that government takes care of that's very important. A few years ago, around the Tiffin area, there was a lot of good work done on sewer extensions. And there were a lot of good agreements put in place with townships and whatever that allowed for those sewer extensions to occur. Look what the development has occurred around Tiffin as a result of that. Between Tiffin and Fostoria, we have good sewer systems. That whole northwest quadrant of the county could be developed successfully off of that basic infrastructure that's there. My kids didn't stay here to work because they didn't have job opportunities. And they've moved away. And that's what I don't want to see happen to the next generation of people that are growing up here in Tiffin and Fostoria and the county. Roads, airports, and communications are the three things that a number of people have talked about and we've worked on as community leaders over the last 10 years as the key things that have to be improved so that future jobs can be located here in our county. So safety is extremely important, but roads, transportation, National Machinery is going to be building bigger machines in Tiffin. How's that stuff going to be it's not by railroad anymore, it's by truck. And there's these super trucks, there's these super needs, loads have to be qualified, and you have to have the infrastructure to do it. So if we're gonna continue to improve our basic ability to put people to work in this community, we've got to do this. And skin in the game is something that when I go and I get my professional engineering license updated every year, and I have to go to some seminars and whatever, I talk to all these ODOT guys and people that are going to build bridges, and they're all worried about the money and whatever. It is really tough for them. The ODOT budget, they want to put a new bridge across the Ohio River at Cincinnati. It's costs like $5 billion, and it would absorb the ODOT budget for a couple more years entirely. Now, these are the kinds of things that will get the priority if we don't step up and do our job and put our bid in and have our funds available to match. So that's my plea to all of you here and anybody else that wants to listen. If you want a better community, if you want a better county for the next 25 years, we got to start today. And one more point I'll make. I've been in meetings like this before and people say, well, nothing's going to happen for 10 years. Well, guess what? If we don't start now and we wait for 2 more years, it's going to be 12 years. And then it's going to be 20 years because we decide to wait. Nobody's going to bring it to you and put it in our lap. Got to take care of our own business and do it locally. That's my point.
Thanks, Tom. Klaus.
Yes, Lenny Klaus, local contractor. To answer your question, yeah. We've been trying to push our county commissioners to put this fee on license plates for about 20 years. For whatever reason, we could never get the 3 of them to agree or do anything. Thank you, Mr. Zeller, for your leadership. Holly, I hope that you and Jeff can find it in your hearts to pass this. But we're worried about $5. It's almost the cost of a gallon of gas now. That's for the year. It's a minimum fee for everybody, and why shouldn't everybody pay? If I look at this crowd and see the home builders are represented here, They did all this work for free here at the 9/11 Museum, Memorial, excuse me. You know, I know the Civil War Museum, a lot of volunteered help, on and on. I see people spending big bucks to get something done, to make their community better. If anybody's got a complaint about the $5 fee, they could move an accounting with a smaller fee for license plates. That's my view. We've got to move ahead here. If we want to do the same thing, we're going to get the same results. And guess what we've done for 59 years? We've done the same thing. We got to make this change. There's people who've used their own personal money here for this road study we had done, I don't know, what was it, 12 years ago, how many years ago? We don't have any money, we don't have this, here we're stuck again. You know, here's, as far as ODOT goes and state maintenance, once this road's improved, with ditches closed in and stuff, just think how much money they're gonna save mowing, plowing snow. The top will stay probably twice as long as I had to guess. You know, I haven't done a study on it. It's gonna cost ODOT a whole lot less, and let's just put another pavement on top again, and you can see how long it lasts. I know Joe does. And I gotta make this point, because Joe's brother Dan, ironically enough, that was killed, and there's no other reason for poor road conditions, plain as day, he was after ODOT about making improvements. He was just over ODOT, our local ODOT, 2 weeks before he got killed. Isn't that ironic? But if he'd have been around, maybe we would have got some things done. But anyhow, there's many needs. I mean, we've talked about 53 South. If you look at the county, our forefathers did a heck of a job. We got a wagon wheel of state highways all come to the center of the community here. We've got 53 South, 224 East is horrible. So is Route 4. We're talking about 2 bypasses or improvements, 2 of them to Fostoria and Tiffin, Ohio. Then you go up and down all the roads. 231, same kind of thing. Ditches need filled in and stuff. The time of the ditches and all this, it's over with. I mean, basically it's over with when we got rid of horses and buggies around here. So, you know, we need to make these improvements. We need the money. Whatever we can do here, Holly, and Jeff, if you're listening, we need to do it. And this is where it started. Because we've spent 59 years here doing nothing. And how many people get beat up and killed out here on 53 South is the worst area. There's only one accident there yesterday, so I guess that's good news, and nobody was killed. So, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Lenny.
Thank you, Lenny.
I'm Rich Sykes, here for the Seneca County Home Builders as Vice President, and as a local business man right on 53. We get complaints all the time with the truckers, you know, saying it's so hard to get from Marion at their other deliveries, or from Fremont, you know, to Tiffin. That isn't the worst part of it. Trying to get semis into our facility, or any facility, as I look out my window up on 53, the danger part of it is people just are impatient and they just have nowhere to go. So they're cutting through other people's yards. We literally have people that will drive through the front of our neighbors at churchyard, through our yards, just to go buy a semi. That's gonna take just 10 seconds, you know, to get into our spot. You know, we talk about the 224 bypass. That was done before my parents even met, you know, so that's been quite a while ago. I have a son that's in our business with us, 33 years old. When he come to me a couple weeks ago after reading something about this, he said, "Dad, how, you know, you think this will ever happen? You know, what can we do, you know, to make this happen?" You know, so I think all my life I've heard about these other road projects and stuff. It's great to hear him say that he has an interest, you know, in staying in Tiffin, raising his kids here. And when we stop and think about it, I'm a small company, but you know, with 24, 25 vehicles, I mean, it's pennies that we would have to pay, you know, a year to help support this, to get it to go in the direction we want it to go. So I'm in full support of it.
Great, thank you.
Rich.
Thank you.
Next.
John Kirshner, concerned citizen. Thank you for having me here today. I think it's very important for someone of my generation to be able to address the commissioners. As we know, it takes a number of years for one of these projects to come through to fruition. 50 years prior to Lowe's and Walmart coming to Tiffin was when the last project was done. I know that these projects are very important for several reasons. I'm in favor of the permissive fee. Inflation alone, when it's on, it stays on. People understand that that fee is there to help improve. Once they see improvements, they're going to say, hey, maybe we can get the next level because they see the improvement. You know, there's appreciation, and cost of living increases, gas prices have gone up. Why can't we give a little bit more to improve Tiffin? I've been gone for 16 years. I came back here to raise my family. I want my kids to be able to play golf at the places where my grandfather played golf, and to bring things back to this town that the town needs. In order for them to stay, we need infrastructure so we can have jobs and improve economic development. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Pat?
Pat Damani, resident of Tiffin and Clinton Township, and I just want to thank you for bringing this idea to the forefront for our community. In 1950s, when they were talking about going through Seneca County for the US 224 bypass, my grandfather was approached at that time, and it was going to affect his property, and of course, ultimately now our property, since we live in the home that he had built there. Had he not said, yes, change is needed and we need to move forward, I don't think, had he and people of his generation said, we don't want to pay the price of losing our land and property for change or for to move forward, we may not have had the capacity to bring businesses here. But because he saw the future and said, yes, in order to have build our community stronger and in order to have change for our community, we do need to make some sacrifices. And if $5 is going to make that sacrifice, I think we all can do that sacrifice, to provide better roads and safety for our community. And we need to look at the big picture, and not just that it's going to hurt our pocketbook for a little bit, but we're all in this together, as someone said earlier. We need to make this change, and we need to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you. I'm here, I guess, probably representing about 4 different things. First off, Aaron Mons, Mayor of the City of Tiffin. Second, I'm also the President of Regional Planning. Third, I'm the President of the NCOR COG, which is our Council of Governments. And finally, fourth, I'm here as a concerned citizen as well. I think this project is absolutely paramount. This $5 fee is, I think, is well within reason. I salute you for bringing this to the forefront. It's a great idea. That's the price of giving up, like we said, less than 2 pennies a day. It's the price of one Little Caesars $5 hot and ready pizza per year.
I'm getting hungry.
Per year. We're talking about the lives lost. We have the most dangerous county in the state of Ohio right now when it comes to roadway safety. Eventually something far worse than that has happened now is going to happen. What happens the day that the school bus is on 53 and the accident happens? Voters are going to be standing up saying, why didn't the commissioners do this for $5? We all want to look at what we stand to lose at the moment. And I'm sure if the question was out there that, do you want a 4-lane highway? Overwhelmingly, probably 80% of the people, if not more, are going to say, yes, we do. The sad part is that this word of the day and age that we would rather say, I don't want to give $5 a day. I don't want to give up one pizza a year, or excuse me, $5 a year. I don't want to give up one pizza per year just in order to I guess, have that $5 jingling in my pocket. We have got to do something to improve these standards, to bring the entire Seneca County area to the forefront for business development. I can't count how many businesses that have come here and they always ask where our 4-lane highway or where's your major highways, and we point 224, 53, we point all of them out, and we don't have a 4-laner. We're never going to see distribution work. We're not going to see the factories come here like the American standards and others, if we don't have a way for them to transport their goods and transport them safely. You know, everyone in this community, everywhere I go, they ask why we're not getting better jobs here. The reason why is because those better jobs want better and improved roadways and safe roadways for their employees, for their children, for everyone else. They're not going to come to Seneca County if they don't feel safe and feel like it's a good investment. We have to invest in our future if we want others to invest in Seneca County. The Regional Planning Commission voted this nearly unanimously. We had only 2 dissenting votes against it. One of those 2 voted against it because he just wanted more information. The COG is now in the process of taking up this charge. We're bringing Sandusky County, the city of Fremont, Tiffin, Seneca County, Wyandotte County, the city of Upper Sandusky. They're all excited. We're meeting together for probably the first time ever that those bodies have been brought together because we all understand the safety importance and the need for this. I've got a meeting set up later this month with officials in Columbus where we're going down. I believe Commissioner Zoller's coming with me. This has got to happen for safety reasons, from the benefit of our community, and for economic development. I can't think of any better $5 a year investment to make than this one right here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Lane Carey, and I just got a question. I'm a concerned citizen on South 53. Why wouldn't you guys support this thing?
Well, we haven't brought it up as a resolution. We don't have it written up yet. Fred presented the idea last meeting a week ago for the first time, and like anything, I've got to know some facts. And when I was discovering what Mark shared yesterday, and while we won't be able to collect from Tiffin if we do this one, we won't be able to collect from Fostoria if we did this levy. It's just I don't want to vote on something until I have all the facts. So it's only been 8 days since I've been researching this, and obviously been working on other things as well and other commitments in there. So I'm just gathering my facts. I'm not saying I won't support it. I'm not saying I'm going to support it. I wanted to gather facts, and I believe that's where Mr. Wagner was as well, because Fred had been already in some of the committees he sits on having these active discussions. I haven't had that take place since I've been a commissioner, in about 99 days that it's been, or something like that. So I'm not saying I won't. I'm gathering the information and appreciate all you being here today to help me understand how you feel about it. There's certainly a lot of people to hear from, and like I said, gathering information is part of the job to make decisions.
In defense of the other 2 commissioners, I kind of broadsided them last week because I've been involved in these various committees and so forth, but because of sunshine laws, we're not allowed to deliberate a lot, and so that's when I presented that. So they have not had a lot of time to really digest and gather all the information. That's why it is so overwhelming, the support that is shown in this meeting today. I've asked the paper, which they have done, to put a notice of this agenda in the paper, so that we were hopeful that we got opponents and people that were against the process, and so that all 3 commissioners can see that the type of support out there. And my hope is I haven't heard any negative comments from this room here, and if there is, certainly I want to hear them, and hopefully that the commissioners will weigh that into their thought process.
My name's Bob St. Gregory. I own a small trucking company here in Tiffin, and I can give you an example on how important highways are. And the only reason I'm saying this has happened in the last couple of months in our business. My son came to me. We had a company that wanted us to run a milk run for him. The milk run is, we'll go to their plant in the morning, pick up inventory, take it to a supplier who reworks it, but we'll bring that inventory back to them the same day. Okay, one of the points is up in Detroit. Let's put 2 of the points were on major highways. One of the points, a city to be unnamed, is about 50 miles east of Tiffin. And the first thing we do is, when we hear a town that we haven't heard, we look at it real close, because if it's not a major town, sometimes you don't have major highways in, okay? So we get on the computer, we look at it. Well, this town, a little bit of Route 18, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this curve, a little bit of this dip. And this is time-sensitive material. And I said to my son, I said, I'll tell you what, do they want a yearly contract? He goes, no, they don't really want a contract, they want pricing. And I says, okay, here's the deal. I says, we'll price it. Month to month, week to week, I don't care. I says, but when August comes, we're going to talk to them about that 1 point, because I don't want to be responsible for having that there on time that day, because it's important, because of where it sits. I won't jeopardize, first of all, my truck, second of all, getting a bad day maybe, you know, how that goes. And so, there's a, you know, do highways, are they important? Absolutely. I'm telling you they are. There's places we don't go. We pick and choose where we go. There's a lot of places that, first thing you know, like this, certain things you'll call and they'll ask you, you go, why'd they call us? You know, we're a pretty small company. And then you start looking and it's difficult. Some places are difficult. But, you know, 53, I could talk all day about how bad 53 North is. We run that every night. 3, 4 trucks every night, up and back, all the weather. And one of the biggest hinders out there is Arm & Hammer, huge company. Does anybody realize how much traffic comes out on the 53 from Arm & Hammer? Get in one of my trucks some night. And when I'm questioning my driver when he gets to Toledo why it took so long, he'll tell you. There's a lot of traffic on that. Stopping traffic, not a lot of traffic, a lot of things you have to stop for. Old Fort's horrible. I mean, if they just did something in Old Fort, it would be a relief. But that's my 2 cents for what it's worth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Others, anyone else? Jim?
Jim Gooker, local businessman. I'm an attorney in Tiffin. I've been practicing in Tiffin since 1987. All my life I've driven up and down 53 South, and that is one of the most worthwhile projects I can imagine in this area. Safety is of paramount importance, and that is a very, very unsafe stretch of traffic, stretch of road. I've lost track of the number of clients that I've known that represented have been injured or been in accidents on that highway. Friends and family members. You know, Dan Parker was a good friend. He was actually on his way out to combine soybeans at my farm that day. He was killed. If there would have been some safety improvements on that road, it still hasn't been improved in that area. There's so many places where right off the side of the roadway, the ditch just, there's no berm. The road just falls right down in the ditch. I've seen many trucks heading between McCutcheonville and Tiffin, where they just get off the road just a little bit and they get sucked right down into the ditch. It's just amazing that how many accidents happen on the stretch of road. Very worthwhile projects all over Seneca County. I think this tax is the fairest way for us to cover our share of the expenses. Treats everybody fairly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
You know, I think we've.
Anyone else that wanted to speak? Mr. Easton.
Thanks for hosting this. Kenny Step, and I think the timing is right. I think with these bonds, it's going to be sold on the turnpike and this pot of money that's coming available. I think that there's a period of time, as we look back, that sometimes things are lost because the timing isn't right. But I believe the timing is going to be right for the next couple of years. And I would really encourage you folks to pass this $5 tax as the start of the process, that perhaps we can improve that. Super 2 would be wonderful all the way through. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else at this time that wanted to share anything? And if none, I guess that will wrap things up here. Someone had brought it to my attention, or just in discussion on this topic, since it's been out there in the, well, longer, but more recently in the past week, about, would the people vote on this? That would be another way a permissive tax to be put on, is if a group of people wanted to bring it up and put it on the ballot. So the correct answer to that was yes, if it was that way. If it's this way, it goes on via the levy being passed through the commissioners. Which is how Fred presented it here.
Yeah.
So
I'm
just in
hopeful,
answer that question.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we can let politics out of it and really stop kicking the can down the road. And the commissioners, I hate taxes. I hate them with a passion. I've always been under the impression, keep government as far away from me as possible. But there's certain things that we need government for, and there's certain reasons that we need to have taxes and things of that nature. And I think this is about as worthwhile cause as it is. I would be very unsupportive of taking this to the ballot. A lot of times it's very difficult for people to get their hand around it and understand it. You know, I've actively looked at people, you know, within the community and have solicited support and opposition. And I think after being in this chambers here and seeing the overall support for this type of project, that the commissioners would look at it. It's a tough decision, and I know that it's always not the most favorable things to look at taxes. I hear you loud and clear, but I think the time is right. I agree with Mr. Eastep. The time is right. The economy is such. The need is there. We have shown the safety issues that are there. And I hear County Engineer Mark Zimmerman going down to the state, unless you got some jingle in your pocket, we've tried that for 59 years and we know what we've got. And now it's time that we got to take hard choices in this office and make this resolution and pass it is my recommendation. I want to thank everybody for coming here. It's just been overwhelming to me.
Right. As that will wrap it up. There's no further comments, and we can stand adjourned. Do we need a motion? Motion to adjourn?
I second it. It's been 2 days long.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, everybody.